Hello everybody and welcome back to Sweet and Sour Soccer, and as the saying goes, the best things in life are free. So today we're going to be speaking about 10 players that are out of contract that could be heading to the Premier League this summer. Guys, before I jump into the video today, do me a favour, as always, hit that like button, and if you are new to the channel, we're going to be keeping you up to date with all the latest transfer rumours and confirmed transfers over the summer. So if that sounds like something you enjoy, hit that subscribe button as well for me as well. So guys, with these 10 names that I've picked out 10 names, and I've picked out people that I generally feel the transfer could happen. So spoiler alert, there's no Paul Pogba on this list because it seems like he will be heading back to Juve. So guys, these are 10 genuine transfers that I believe can happen, and let's jump straight in. And this is a bit of an obvious one, but I wanted to start off with Mr. Jesse Lingard. It was confirmed yesterday that his contract at Man United will not be extended. Now, he's going to have a couple of suitors, I'm sure, within the Premier League. Of course, West Ham have already expressed their interest, and a loan move to Newcastle nearly did happen in January. So there's two teams right off the back. Now, I do believe that, this would be a really good signing, especially on a free. Be interested to see what wages he's demanding, but I do think this would be a very good signing for the majority of Premier League teams, and I could see a lot of people and a lot of teams throwing their hat into the ring for this one. Where do I think he'll end up? Well, realistically, I do believe it'll probably be between Newcastle United and West Ham United. It'll probably be the team that makes him feel that he'll get the most regular football. Of course, we know he had a great time at West Ham, but maybe struggled a bit with locality because of personal issues, obviously being in London at the time. But he did really enjoy his time there, so it wouldn't surprise me if he went to West Ham. Now, this is a bit of a double whammy because we're speaking about two Burnley players in this one. Of course, Burnley unfortunately got relegated to the Championship at the end of the season. And we already know that James Tarkowski is going to be leaving the club. Well, it actually come out today that so is Mr. Ben Mee. Two people that have been at Burnley for some time now. And both these players are going to be out of contract in the summer. Now, as for Tarkowski, he's already gaining a bit of interest from the likes of Aston Villa, gaining interest from likes of Everton. Everton apparently already have offered him quite a lucrative contract, a wage of around 100k a week. As for Ben Mee, he's 32 years old now. I believe he'd come with a host of Premier League experience. I think there'll be a lot of clubs interested in him. Of course, it was only confirmed today that he would be leaving, so there's not really been any major names thrown into the hat so far. It's just been reported that a lot of Premier League teams are interested, and I think either of these players would be a really good move, especially Ben Mee if he is actually commanding a less of a salary, because I kind of feel 100k is a lot, to be honest, a week for James Tarkowski, but it is what it is. I suppose you will pay more when you're signing a player on a free. The next one, guys, I want to speak about Gareth Bale because that's going to be an interesting one. And I do think he'll be linked with the Premier League over the summer. Of course, his contract at Real Madrid has come to an end, and it's been announced, of course, that he will be leaving. Earlier in in January, he was linked with Cardiff, and it was also linked with Swansea. Cardiff, obviously, you'd suspect would be the more likely of the two, given his background. But I feel like it depends on whether Wales make it to the World Cup or not, because if Wales don't make it to the World Cup, he might go for a lucrative offer in Saudi Arabia. If not, it's rumoured that, I'm sure he's made his money. We already know that he was on around 400k a week at Real Madrid. He's already made his money. He might actually want to come back and play some football. And if he can be offered a Premier League club that's going to offer him regular player time, and I'm sure there will be someone in the Premier League that would, he might want to just keep fit for a couple of years, or even just play some regular football if Wales make the World Cup, because that would obviously be something beneficial for him. Who might go in for him? Well, it'd be interesting, because I imagine Gareth Bale, would he command quite high wages? It's one to watch. There's nothing set at the moment, but it's one to watch out for, because I could see a couple of Premier League teams being interested. Now, this one's a name that I probably wouldn't have thrown into the hat, actually, if it wasn't for the news that came out today, because I would have presumed that he would have just made a move to another team in Italy. Of course, I'm on about Torino's Andrealotti, who is coming to the end of his contract in the summer. And it was actually reported in an interview today, actually, that he hasn't ruled out a move to the Premier League. You know, he said that he's happy in Italy. He spent 10 years playing in Italy, but he'd also welcome a new challenge, another league. He mentioned the Liga and also the Premier League. 28 years of age, a bit of one of them. I could see some Premier League teams being interested in Belotti. I think, you know, his stock was really high a couple of years ago. He perhaps hasn't had the same form this season, but I still think this could be a good signing, especially on a free. Adding more striker options. I think there's going to be a lot of Premier League clubs in for strikers this summer. I think it's going to be a really competitive market. And, you know, picking up someone with Belotti's experience on a free, for me, would not be a bad signing at all, to be honest. So we move on now to a player that knows the Premier League very well. And it was confirmed this week that Roman Saiss will be leaving my club, actually, Wolverhampton Wanderers. 32 years of age now, coming with a host of English experience and Premier League experience. You know, and it was part of a defence that up to Christmas was one of the best defences within the Premier League. And I think even towards the end of the season, the defensive stats were very good for Wolves. It was just the attacking stats that perhaps let Wolves down. I mean, I think this would be an absolutely superb signing, not just from a playing ability point of view. It's kind of known that he's one of the big characters in the dressing room. Everyone loved him at Wolves. He'd be a great addition to any dressing room that, you know, would want him. You know, it's only been announced within the last couple of days. So the only team that's come out so far was actually Galatasaray, who, of course, are not a Premier League club. But I do think there'll be a lot of interest for Romain Saiss. You know, he could play as a defensive midfielder as well as a centre-back in a back five. Could probably do it in a back four as well, especially for a newly promoted team. I don't think he'd be commanding that higher salary either. And I do think maybe on a free transfer, I think this would be an absolutely superb signing for whoever would want to go for him. Who could I see him at realistically? I do think it maybe would be one of the newly promoted teams, or maybe a team that we expected to be within the lower half of the table. But definitely for a newly promoted team, this would be a very, very good signing. Next up is a man that needs no introduction, Mr. Luis Suarez. Now, of course, his time at Atletico has come to an end, and it was one which he didn't want to end himself, but it has been confirmed that he will be departing this summer. With this one, I think there's only one suitor that's probably going to come to mind in the Premier League, and it's been heavily reported. That is Aston Villa. Rumours that he could link up with Steven Gerrard to give Villa bit more, I suppose, options in attack. Of course, already having Danny Ings, already obviously having, you know, his name's gone out of my head. Jesus Christ. Yeah, you know who I mean. The other Villa striker, his name's completely gone out of my head. An addition of Luis Suarez would be absolutely fantastic as well. And it would really bolster Aston Villa's attacking options with Watkins. It's come back to me, Watkins, Ings and Suarez. Guys, let's carry on to the next one swiftly after that absolute shambles. We're talking about Mr. Christian Eriksen next. Now, this guy has obviously returned to the Premier League with Brentford in January. His contract is coming to an end at the end of this season, which obviously the end of July. And I think there's going to be a lot of suitors for him. I think in his time at Brentford, he has really shown that, you know, he's still got it, essentially. And I do think this would be a really great transfer. I think it's one of these. I could really see him stopping at Brentford, but there is other teams that are already showing interest, and teams higher up the table, to be honest. It's been rumoured that Tottenham are debating going in and offering Eriksen a contract. It's also actually been rumoured that Chelsea might. Whether Eriksen would welcome that move, given obviously his, his background with Tottenham, that remains to be seen. Me personally, I'd like to see him stop at Brentford, to be honest. I think he'll get regular playing time there. Obviously, there's that strong Norwegian connection. And I think he'll want to see a regular playing time, especially with, you know, the World Cup coming up and with everything he's been through over the last 12 months with obviously what happened at the Euros. I'd welcome him staying at Brentford, but, you know, potentially I think he'll be staying in the Premier League, but he could potentially move elsewhere. Two more players to speak about, and I'm going to be speaking about Sam Johnston next, who obviously West Bromwich Albion keeper, who's set to leave this summer. Now, the early links have linked him with a couple of teams, one of those being Scottish team Rangers, the other being Crystal Palace. Now, I think there'll be more suitors coming up for him. I think, he's a really good goalkeeper, and he's leaving West Brom because he thinks that he should be playing at a higher level. And to be honest, I can't really argue that. I think he's a solid Premier League goalkeeper, and he would obviously suit Rangers in the Scottish League as well. With this one, Sam Johnston, for me, apparently he wants to heighten his chances of getting into the England squad. He does believe if he can have a good start to the season, there's still a chance he might make that England squad. I think the best place to do that maybe would be, look, people would debate this, but maybe you'll get a few more eyes on you and catch Southgate's eye more if you are playing in the Premier League. And you do feel if he did go to Crystal Palace, for instance, he would probably be their starting keeper as well. Guys, the last man I'm going to speak about, he had a massive game last night against Scotland, obviously putting Ukraine through to the last playoffs against another player that I've spoke about on this video, Wales's Gareth Bale. But yeah, obviously I don't think Bale will be playing in that game. But yeah, it's going to be Wales versus Ukraine to see who gets to the World Cup. Yarmolenko, of course, his time at West Ham is coming to an end. It was a very emotional end to his time at West Ham. 32 years of age. I feel like there might be some clubs that might want to gamble on him, especially one that are newly promoted as well. You can see he's got that heart. He's got that passion to play football. He was a very good servant for West Ham. And I think maybe for a newly promoted team, it would add a lot of experience as well as being a player that would play within the starting 11. Or he would be a good squad player for maybe teams slightly higher up in the table. So, guys, that is my 10. Let me know, have I missed anyone obvious out? Is there anyone from this list that you would like for your club? Let me know your club and let me know which players you would take. And, guys, as I said at the start of the video, if you have enjoyed it, do me a favour, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well, because we're going to be bringing you lots of content over the summer. We are certainly not stopping. So hopefully I'll see you on another video. Enjoy the long bank holiday weekend. Take care and goodbye.